I want to start off by you explaining to us what do you mean by high flow CEO? What is all of that?
Okay. Well, high flow is a state. I call high flow a state of consciousness in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a state that we can access through our superconscious. So let me just go a little bit on that. That simply put, becoming coherent with your superconscious frequency is, in my view, the most powerful, effective, and enjoyable way to experience this high flow performance
Mm-hmm.
or a high flow state so that you can create the life and business that we desire without burning ourselves in the process.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So it is basically a state of consciousness that we can reach by becoming coherent with our superconscious.
Mm-hmm. So how does that look like for a high flow CEO? Is that someone who is really on understanding the state of just being, I
Yes,
guess,
because
conscious?
uh, I call high flow CEO is not only the CEO of a business; it's being the CEO of our life too.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that's the ability of giving our thoughts, feelings, and actions more direction, flow, and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I mean by being a high flow CEO. This is what a high flow CEO is all about. Someone who can bring coherence to our thoughts, feelings, and actions and giving them direction, flow, and purpose.
Exactly. All right. Um, how yeah, you talk about high flow and the high flow state. What kind of, I guess, I want to say feelings, but what are we looking at specifically if we're talking about high flow? Because you mentioned a couple of things that we talked about before we jumped on about joy and passion and stuff like that.
Yes, I mean, we can know when we're experiencing that state when we are experience abundance. And by abundance, it means like when you feel that you are whole and complete. And when we perceive ourselves as whole and complete, there's no lack. And when there is no lack, there is joy, there is uh, passion, there is certainty, there is no knowingness. So it is a state that is an experience, is not like something that is um, uh, too cognitive. It's very experiential. In fact, it's a precognitive state.
Hmm. And it sounds to me like a lot of these things are like high vibrating energy, so it's a lot of positivity around it. So you kind of shut the negativity out, or how does that work?
Well, I think we live in a vibrational universe. I mean, this is not woo woo, right? Everything is energy,
Yeah.
and in any in, when you talk about vibration, we talk about a spectrum. So in a spectrum, you have sides, right,
Hmm.
or polarities, so to speak. So we have fear, we have desire, we have joy, we have sadness, that kind of thing. So in a sense, it is what it is. The vibration is there. The difference is which one or which ones we decide to be more active in our
Hmm.
space. Which ones do we want to activate more? And we do have like an ability to activate whatever we want through our
Right.
attention.
Yeah,
So
and that's kind of where you come in with consciousness and just being aware of what you tap into, what you want to activate.
yes, what you want to access in the first place, and when you do, what do you want to focus on?
Hmm.
And the more we develop this ability to to detach, for example, to become an observer of energy, then we are more free to make choices of which ones do we want to activate in our
Hmm.
frequency. So, and that can raise our frequency because we can have our overall vibration um, with what we can call the more positive aspects.
Mm-hmm.
But what can be positive for me can be negative for you. So it's more like,
Right.
what is more in affinity with your own processes and with your own life, with your own path.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and that's what makes one more vibrant, let's say, if we can focus on the desires of your soul, so to speak. I
Mm-hmm.
call that our core passions or our core intentions, our
Right.
core desires.
And how do we kind of learn how to tap into or activate those states?
Yeah, there are several ways of doing. I created a whole methodology for this, but
Mm-hmm.
the process is very simple. In a sense, it's really finding a neutral space within yourself to first become an observer of energy, which we can do through intention in the first place, and we can start activating that through our breathing process. It's like there are many meditation techniques that lead into those states. I call my process, I don't use the term meditation too much. I prefer to use intentional visualizations, because
Okay.
we do whatever we do is with intention. It's not
Mm-hmm.
contemplative, it's not waiting for something to happen. In a sense, we activate what we want to happen in the first place. So, and we can do that through that state, and we can even measure how we are getting there. For example, with brain waves, basically we decrease our activity in the beta state, and down to alpha and down to theta. Theta waves are that state where we are falling asleep or when we are waking up. um,
Mm-hmm.
so but we can consciously do that through our own process. I have a whole system on how we can do that and achieve that in a very few minutes. And and then from there we start the process of um, defining our space, and kind of bringing ourselves, our thoughts, feelings, and actions into coherence. So we create what I call the a heart brain coherent state, because basically we access that superconscious through our biofields. And the largest biofield, or the most powerful biofield we have, is the one generated by the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when we do that, we access that biofield, which is kind of coherent with our superconscious, which is that part of us that's the non-physical aspect of ourselves that vibrates in the quantum field, 0 point, whatever name you want to give to it, and where infinite possibilities exist. It's beyond space and time, but we can be there. We can access that through our biofields. And this is pretty much a precognitive state. With
Mm-hmm.
practice, we can stay on this precognitive state for a long time. And from there, we can also repattern our brain, and not through our superconscious. So this technology is very different from what most people do in terms of subconscious reprogramming. Let's reprogram the subconscious. This is more like imprinting the subconscious with, or imprinting our brain, repattern our brain to change our subconscious with our frequency from the superconscious.
Okay.
So so if that makes sense, I hope I explained a little bit on that. But it's more like we access information from our supercon from this quantum field, from a place beyond space-time, and bring that frequency through our biofields, and that is generated by the heart. And we can even measure, there are instruments to measure all this that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there we send the information up to our brain, because also the heart has more neural connections than the brain in a sense. And we repattern the neural nets with that frequency. And that can completely kind of transform our subconscious if we become more conscious of our superconscious.